The reason the US came out on top as the world creditor after World War I was not because of private investment overseas running surpluses on balance of trade accounts, or self-expanding by reinvesting earnings in internally generated cash flow from foreign ventures. While reinvestment of private funds had still been going on, it paled in comparison to the money the US government had loaned the European allies during and after the war. No, it was because of the government. This is not how things had usually played out. Let's take a quick look at how capitalist economies had typically done things. Usually, the rise of private investment abroad, in particular to colonize and exploit regions that were a gold mine and undeveloped natural resources, came first, and government intervention second. Governments would either A. use military and naval force to seize territories in order to protect the expansion of their private capitalist interests, as well as bar capitalists from other nations, or B. simply resort to making special agreements with local rulers. Another way of putting this is establishing a client oligarchy. Whether option A or option B, it was private capital that took the initiative. Governments followed. That's not to say this was the case every time, but it's usually how things played out. Private interests were taken to be synonymous with the interests of the nation as a whole, and backing their growth abroad unquestioned. If these were the elements that constituted the typical pattern for how capitalist economies had attained world creditor status before, then the US broke all of them, and it wasn't motivated by the same reasons either. The lion's share of US investments abroad didn't come from private investors, but the government. The money wasn't going to undeveloped regions rich in raw materials, but Europe, whose industrial output back then exceeded that of the US, and who very obviously wasn't a raw materials goldmine. As Professor Michael Hudson explains, while economics were a factor, the US motivation for investment in Europe was, number one, political. Thanks for watching episode 21 of this series breaking down Super Imperialism, the Economic Strategy of American Empire by economist and Professor Michael Hudson. If you're interested in finding out more, I highly recommend checking it out. Stay tuned for part 22.